All right, well, hello, welcome to another video. Today we are going to be talking about inflation. We love talking about inflation, don't we? Inflation is everywhere right now. It is what is making our groceries so expensive. It is what is pushing auto insurance up, or at least that's what they claim, right? It is just one of those things that we don't love, but is around, right? The historical inflation rate is about 2.5%. We know it's there. However, that's not what I'm planning on talking about today, that kind of inflation. I'm planning on talking about what is called lifestyle inflation. Now, lifestyle inflation is something you probably have never heard of. It is also still called lifestyle creep. And we are going to talk about that today because it makes a big difference if you are trying to retire early or just get to financial independence as quickly as possible. So if you are new here to the channel, welcome. I'm Lisa. I'm a financial advisor. I have been for over 13 years, and I help people get to financial independence as quickly as possible, which if that is you, then you are in the right place because we are going to talk about this. This is a big topic. Now, what is lifestyle inflation? Lifestyle inflation is, well, let's do a story. Let's do story time. Okay, so let's say you've been working really hard and you finally get that promotion you've been looking for, and it is a 10% raise. Unbelievable, right? And you are overjoyed. You're already doing the workload, so you are now just reaping the rewards, and you are off to the races. And you start thinking, oh, I should be putting away in savings, but I can do that later. What if I kind of need a new car? Maybe I'll get a new car. I mean, then payments won't be that much more. You know, I'm paying $200 now. Maybe I'll pay $350 a month. You know, $150. That's nothing. That's nothing for a 10% raise. You know, mom and dad have been neglected lately. Maybe I should take them out to eat. Maybe I should buy them something. You know, maybe we should spend more time together. I should treat from now on. And I also need some new clothes. I mean, I have a new position. I should get some new clothes too. And all of a sudden, that 10% that was so sweet and you were so excited about it because it could do so much for you in the future has gone because of lifestyle inflation or lifestyle creep. We tend to reward ourselves when we have done something amazing and started making more money. And this is why I often will say that this, make more money, save more money, become wealthy by having extra income come in is kind of BS in many respects, because a lot of people tend to do this lifestyle creep or this lifestyle inflation. It's very alluring, and it's human nature to want to celebrate wins for ourselves, right? And so essentially, when we do lifestyle creep or lifestyle inflation, then we don't save anymore. And our lifestyle keeps going up and up and up in terms of how much we need to survive every month. And yet our savings hasn't gone up at all. So how do we balance this out? How do we make sure that we're not doing lifestyle creep? There's a couple of different ways to do it. I'm going to start with the simplest one, which is probably the one that you could do most easy, which is take your 10% raise, take 5% of it and put it into savings, investing, where you're putting your money to grow to financial independence. Put it there. Now you only have 5% left, and you are free to spend that however you want because you've balanced it out, right? You've got more savings going in to keep up with your lavish lifestyle that you have now. Maybe not lavish, but having a little bit more fun. That's the easy one, okay? Now let's say you're sitting back and you go, but I kind of want to save more than 5%. Like I kind of don't want to do that, but I can feel myself doing this thing where I'm just spending more money because I see more money in my paycheck. Well, here's a couple things to do. You could just say all 10% is going into saving, investing, those vehicles that I'm using for financial independence. That's one way to do it. That way you don't have any more left to save at the end of the month. However, you could also start looking into conscientious spending. Obviously, I can't say that. Conscientious spending, which means being very aware of what you're spending your money on. Now, does this mean you've got to build a budget? No, I am not telling you to build a budget because I don't feel like budgets work for a lot of people. Some people can stick to their budget and they totally are fine. Others have a harder time, and that's okay. It does not make you a bad person because you don't want to have or stick to a budget. I'm not a budget person. I don't have a budget. However, I try to practice conscientious spending. Sometimes I'm not as successful as I want to be, but here's what conscientious spending is. It is spending when you put little barriers in front of yourself so that you don't spend as much as you think you might. So here's one example, okay? One example is online spending. This can take us all. I mean, my husband and I can spend online like anybody else. I have heard people just spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars online. There's a reason Amazon is doing as well as it can. It's very alluring. You get on your phone, you're like, how can I fix a solution? And you know, $200-300 later, you found some solution that maybe you don't use so much anymore, right? Now, here's some things that you can do. One is you can create lists. If Amazon is your Achilles heel, which it is for me, you can create lists in there and start putting things towards those lists. So I have a for Lisa list. I have a work list. I have different things. I have Kindle list. I have all this stuff. And if I don't feel like I should buy it at this moment, I save it to the list, because I think part of the reason that we purchase things on impulse is that we're afraid we're never going to get it again. We're never going to find this product again. And there's that kind of scarcity mentality that happens. I don't know if that's scarcity mentality. I would think that that kind of is, but it's that same kind of like, oh, I'm never going to find this again kind of idea, right? And so we have that in us. And if we can just know that it's safe and we can find it if we want it in one of these lists, sometimes that helps. And then you kind of forget what's in your list. You kind of go through it. You go, why did I put this in there to begin with? You know, that kind of thing. Another thing that I have heard people say is to save things. So they'll put it in the shopping cart and then they'll save it, and they have a limit. So I've heard people say, I have a 24-hour time that I cannot purchase it. That's my rule for myself. I've heard 48, I've heard 3 days, I've heard lots of different things. Whatever works for you. If after 3 days you still want that, purchase it. It's okay. You know, you can afford it. However, if you don't want it anymore, which probably 80% of the time you don't, then you've saved some money, right? Also, one rule I have for myself, because I started finding myself purchasing a lot of stuff on like Instagram and stuff, because the ad pops up and you're like, ooh, that's interesting. And you click on it and you purchase it. I was like, this could be really bad. So I have a rule. I do not purchase anything directly off of social media. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, I will not purchase directly from those ads. But again, you hit that scarcity mentality where you go, ooh, but what if I never find this again? Which is ridiculous, because, you know, they're following us wherever we are and they always pop up again. But that's what we think, right? What if I never find it again? However, what I do is I take the link. Often there's a share button or something. You can share it to yourself, and I email it to myself. And I might put in the subject line what it is. I might not, right? It makes it a little harder to figure out what it is. And I don't go to my personal email very much. I don't think a lot of people do anymore, right? Maybe work we go to more, but personal emails we don't go to as much. And so, you know, I don't see that until 3 days, 3 weeks later, maybe, you know, if I haven't gotten down to that part of the, you know, my list of all the emails I have to go through, it might be 3 weeks later. And half the time I'm sitting there going, what were you thinking? Why are you sending this to yourself? This is a stupid product. What's wrong with you? You know, I'm talking really nice to myself, obviously, but this is what I do, and it saves me a lot of money by doing that. So that's another thing that you can do. The last kind of tip I can give you for helping with inflation, with lifestyle inflation, I should say, is start really thinking about what your week's going to look like, right? Am I going to purchase anything? Am I not going to purchase anything? You might even do your day, right? You might even spend 2 minutes in the morning while you're getting ready in the mirror or something and go, am I planning on spending any money today? And if so, how much do I think I'm going to spend? And just having that little conscientious talk with yourself can sometimes help us, put little rules around ourselves. And rules aren't bad. We come to this, and especially, I'm X generation. We don't like rules, right? We're not rule followers. I was listening to, it was Memorial Day weekend this week, and I was listening to all the alternative music that I grew up listening to. And it was all about no rules, to anybody with authority. That's kind of how we grew up. But having these little rules around ourselves helps us govern ourselves, right? This is why we don't eat the entire box of cookies unless we're really depressed. But sometimes you do. But, this is why you stop yourself after 2 cookies and go, that's enough. I don't need any more. It's the same idea. You put little guardrails around your spending. So as you're doing your makeup in the morning or getting ready in the morning, maybe you're shaving if you're a guy, you're looking in the mirror and start talking to yourself about, like, what do you expect to spend today? Do I expect to go out to lunch? Do I have plans to go out with my friend Maggie later? What do I want to be my spending budget today? Do I need to purchase a gift for mom or dad? Do I need to get a birthday gift for a partner or spouse? Do the kids need something? Am I planning on going to Target afterwards? And what is that going to look like? Just actually having that conversation and deciding what you think you're going to spend money on is really important, because it talks you out of the things you don't want to spend money in. So when you're standing in Target looking at like a soap dish that you don't need that's $10, why are soap dishes $10, by the way? I was at Walmart trying to buy a soap dish the other day. It was $10. I have no idea why a soap dish is $10, but anyhow, it was plastic too. It wasn't like nice, but I digress. Anyhow, so you're looking at the soap dish, you can put it down because that was not what you decided you were going to spend your money on. Will it happen with everything? No, but it will curb some of the excess spending. So I hope those 3 tips help you for lifestyle inflation. It is a real thing. It can ruin your plans for the future unless you have a good hold on it. And so for next time, we are going to talk about the big B word. Now, I've done budget videos before, but this one's going to be a little different. It's going to be, how do you create a budget if you don't want to create a budget? If you are not a budget person, how do you actually create a budget? And there are ways to do this. So next time I will see you about creating a budget for those who don't like budgets, because that's me, I don't like budgets. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this helped, and let's make sure that lifestyle inflation is not ruining your plans for the future. Thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful rest of your day, and keep on conscientious spending. Really can't say that. Conscientious spending.